Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. I'm going to talk today about rehabilitation after 48 years in prison, which is what the guy is facing, the man who shot that young lady outside a bar. Apparently he opened fire with an automatic weapon and 12 rounds in less than a second. Hit her, shot her in the back. I mean, how brave is that? Anyway, he's just managed to get himself 48 years in prison. And of course, there is a guy coming out of prison very shortly called Roberts, who was convicted in 1966 of shooting or killing 3 police officers at Shepherd's Bush in London. And the Police Federation are apparently up in arms about this, saying, this is an insult to the police officers that were killed. But of course, the man is now 78 years of age, and they're going to throw him out into society, which is even a bigger punishment than keeping him in, if you ask me. I mean, there's a big problem with institutionalisation, and those of you who've been in the military or in the police or the prison service, fire brigade, or anything like that, will have a vague idea of what's going to happen, because you become dependent upon the institution. Certainly, the number of ex-soldiers who are homeless and wandering the streets, can't find their way in society, are lost souls. I mean, the problem that you've got is if you do a standard full-term service in the British Army is 22 years. So if you joined at 18, as I did, join at 18, and you do your full 22 years, you're 40 when you come out, still a young man. But if you've done 22 years in the Army, then you are pretty certain to be very much dependent upon a very rigid regime. And once you fall into that regime, you're on parade at a certain time every morning. You know what to do. You're told what to do, where to go, how to dress, what to eat, where to eat, all the rest of it. And you've got the camaraderie of your colleagues around you. Suddenly, at the end of all that, bang, you're out in society. And I came out, I didn't serve a full 22 years. My father was taken terminally ill, and I came out to care for the rest of the family look after my mother and all that. So I came out after 5 years, but believe me, it's very difficult because I was, the first job I got was in charge of security for a chain of stores. And of course, I'm used to giving direct orders, don't forget, you do that. And not having people question it. Because in the military, you don't question the direct orders of NCOs, otherwise you get double marched down to the glass house and slammed inside. But in society it's not like that, is it? You say to people, right, go and get those boxes over there and stick them in the back. Who the bloody hell do you think you're talking to? So what do you mean? You work here, don't you? Yeah, I'm not doing that, it's not my job. You get all that nonsense. And then, of course, you get the youngsters answering you back. There was one when I worked at this company, the massive great warehouse, a bit like before Amazon, but along those lines, great big warehouse, and he was acting stupid. So I just thought nothing about it. Just come here, put him against the wall, shook him about a bit. So you don't do that again, don't behave like that when I'm here now, get on with your work, and threw him away, Well, I didn't think anything much about this. What do you think happened? Go on. Well, he didn't go and get the police, no. He went and got his mum. Yeah, his mother came into the warehouse and went to see one of the directors and was complaining that her son had been beaten up by me. I didn't beat him up, didn't hit him, I just shook him a bit, as you would, like a rag doll, up off the floor about 4 or 5 inches against the wall, rattled him about a bit. And, of course, the directors called me and said, we understand what you're doing and why, because he is a bit of a nuisance, but you just simply cannot lay your hands on the employees. I said, yeah, I'm just flipped back to my time in the military, when if anybody had done that, questioned my authority in the military, well, bang, you've got it, But you can't do that in Civvy Street. Anyway, this guy was a little pest, he was a little bit stroppy. So I said, all right, but what's this guy? He's trouble. So he thinks he can get away with it. Now Mummy's come in and stood up for him. He thinks he can do what he wants. Anyway, about a month later, he got a big plank of wood with nails stuck through the end, and he was chasing the warehouse manager round the warehouse with this big chunk of wood with a nail in the end, threatening him. They didn't ask me to sort it out. They got the police in and they took him away. How mad is that? I mean, if they just allowed it to go on and say, listen, if he does that again, he's going to get rattled properly. But society's not like that, is it? Anyway, this guy who's coming out in the next week or so has done 48 years for murdering 3 police officers. He was first imprisoned in 1966. That's the year I started underage drinking. And a pint of best bitter, usually Tetley's. I used to drink Tetley's bitter and Johnny Walker's bitter. I like that, yeah. It was 1 shilling and 11 a pint. So, and it was before the time of decibelization. So 1 shilling and 11 was about, what? It was less than 10p. So about 9.5p. Yeah, so imagine he's coming out now, and when he went in, beer was 1 and 11 a pint. In other words, you could get 10 pints and change from £1. And now he's been released in Littlehays, the prison, HMP Littlehay. But he's been released, and if he lived in London, he's going back to London, and they're going to ask him something like £6-7 for a pint. Whoa! Hey, imagine that. £1, 10 pints. Come out of prison, £1, you can't even buy half a bitter. You couldn't get a sniff of the barmaid's penny for that. So there's all that. And this guy that's just gone in and got 48 years, it's the end of your life, isn't it? I mean, you think of what society was like, for those of you who are of a certain age, in 1966. The way that you made a telephone call was go to one of the red telephone boxes and put pennies in. Pennies! 240 pence to the pound. Pennies to the pound. And they also had things like half pennies. Does anybody remember them? 480 halfpenny pieces to £1. Hey, you'd be walking around like Long John Silver if you got all that in your pocket. Seriously, I've got a collection of the old currency. I bought it for my wife because we were married in 1970. Decimalisation, I think, was 1972 or something like that. But anyway, so that's it. So the people who are coming out of prison now are going to find the world drastically change. If you've done 10, 15, 20 years in prison, it's going to take a long time to adjust. And of course, when you come out, what do you get? I believe you get £46, and that's it, on your way. I mean, what are you going to get with £46 these days? It's going to cost you £15 for a McDonald's takeaway. Not that I eat them, but I buy them for my grandson, Anyway, it's that time of day, and I have found the song dinger again. You'll be all delighted to know. Yes, there we are. Oh, by the way, the connection down below is links to my book. So I hope you're all going to get a copy of my book. No singing today. I'm going to read you a poem. Although Larry has requested I do a few flat notes, just so he can head for the hills. Apparently he's goat. He's very sensitive to my voice. I was born under a wandering star. Do I know where hell is? Hell is in hello. Heaven is goodbye forever. It's time for me to go. I was born under a wandering star. There you go. A little bit of a song there, that's enough. Yeah, Larry's on the moors now. Anyway, we're going to have a poem today, another poem from one of my other books. That's it. Flowers and Collected Poems. Somebody's selling my book on eBay, you know. Have a look. John G. Sutton, Poetry. Imagine that. This is Seasons of Life by John G. Sutton. But a long time since I wrote this, can't remember quite why. It's a thoughtful piece about how we look at our lives as if, you know, they're related to the seasons of the year. This is Seasons of Life. The years of our lives are numbered, from spring to the winter of age, and with each season new lessons as we turn over life's page. In spring we are born with God's blessing, a child with a promise to be, to live in the world with its troubles, to learn and to grow true and free. In summer we stand in God's glory, soft breezes, sunshine and flowers. The joy of these days is a kindness, and we treasure those long golden hours. Yet life in this world has its problems, and each of us must take our share of the pain and the hard rain of autumn, but our faith makes it easier to bear. God grant us the strength to continue, make the weight of this world so much less, and he gives us each other to cling to. In his church there is holy congress, and into our lives there is union, when soul unto soul makes a vow to live with one God joined together, each sharing the work with life's plough. Then winter will not seem so bitter, as joined in God's love time will pass. Just remember the words of the Scripture, as the Lord says, all flesh is grass. Till then, in the joy of his blessing, we each pray to live and do right, and when seasons end we together join God in his love and his light. Seasons of Life by John G. Sutton. I'm not a particularly religious man, but I do believe that there is life eternal. I had an experience of this just 2 nights ago. I was asleep, it'd be about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it would have been about then, and I was having a very strange, very vivid dream, and a voice shouted at me in the dream, "Am I dead?" And I heard this voice, and I woke up, and nobody in the room, just me, and I managed to get back to sleep. But I got up quite early that morning, and after breakfast I was here on my computer where I am now, writing some stuff as I usually do. And my wife came in and she said, "John, the lady next door has just died. They found her. The lady next door to where we live." And Will was a friend of ours. We helped her, you know. She was only 61. She had motor neuron disease, and she'd been found dead. And Mary went round with the people who were professionally caring for her to witness the finding of the body, you see. But I was in the back office, so I couldn't do it. And I do believe that it was that lady's spirit shouting to me, "Am I dead?" Because there is no death. Believe that. And march on. Tales from the Jails. The link to my book is down there. Thank you for watching.